Good morning. This is the October 20th meeting of the Environmental Resource Committee. We could stand and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are you a vet?
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you for your service.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you.
I did not serve, but my dad was in World War II in Germany shooting at the Nazis.
Okay.
Well, where'd you serve, man?
My dad was in the Pacific, trying not to get shot by the. Yeah. I was Air Force.
Oh, well, good for you.
Yes,
Good
sir.
for you.
All right, the first order of business is the draft agenda. Are there any comments about the agenda or any amendments that need to be made?
I move acceptance, I guess, unless somebody's got something.
Well, I have a discussion point.
Oh, okay.
One of the primary purposes of the ERC is spelled out in the rules and responsibilities. In general, the ERC is intended to operate as a research and reporting body that conducts research on topics of interest and concern to the town council and the town, and report its findings, alternative courses of action, and recommendations. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm constantly reading things that I find online or in social media or whatever. And for us, these are things that I would encourage everyone to bring to the committee to share. You can send anything that you think we should discuss. You can send it to Chad to be added to the agenda. You could send it to myself or Don as the chair people of the committee, or you could bring it to the committee and add it to the agenda.
Okay.
And this would be the place where you would say, Mr. Chairman, I have something I would like to add to the discussions today, and we can add it to the agenda, and we can discuss it at that time. So I just wanted to emphasize to people that when you find things that you think are good and innovative and creative ideas, don't hold back with sharing them with the committee. We'll decide what to do and how to do it.
That's good.
Any other comments about that? Or
I do have a favorite source called Happy Eco News. So it's a positive side of world environmental issues. And instead of being so black and negative, it's
Well,
not true or not, but it's a positive.
there's a lot of stuff out there, and it's almost too much for me to process, and you have to wade through some of them.
Right, yeah.
You know,
This has 5
Yeah.
stories per week. And,
that's good.
well, locally,
John, would this be the kind of thing that?
yes.
Because this is excellent. I think we should get copies made for all of us. Get an
And
idea
you
how
can,
they're.
we can attach that to the
the
agenda
minute.
for the meeting, so it would be public record.
I guess my only comment would be, I think as environmental resource, ideas, I see things, that we could add like around growth in the area and how we can help soften the economic impact of that. And I just things like that, because I mean, every day you pick up the news and they're building another community. Now, whether or not I know we could have the real estate bubble could crash or whatever, but the reality of it is it could have a huge economic impact in the area. So for me, it's, I don't know if we can add something that discuss like, what's going on, and then what are the communities doing to, mitigate
All right.
environmental damage.
Well, we have to remember that the town council is the one that appointed us, and they appointed us to review things and report back to them.
Okay.
Secondly, there is a planning board that does a lot of the things you're talking about.
Okay.
And I think it's important for all of us to be aware of everything going on at the council level, as well as at the planning board level. So to the extent that you can, to either attend council meetings or attend planning board meetings, to stay current on the activities they're involved in, then that can help us decide where we can add the most value. So, and Chad is the director overseeing the planning board, so he has a natural connection between what we do and what they do. Chad, do you have any other thoughts on that or comments?
Yeah, I'm the staff liaison between this board and then planning board, and then also I sit in on every council meeting as well. So my biggest thing is my door's always open. Come talk to me. You know, let's throw some ideas at the wall. Planning board does a pretty good job of that, of coming by and seeing me. Council does a great job of it, coming in and seeing me, talk about what's going on, what projects I have going on, what's going on around town. And I thoroughly enjoy those meetings. So
I think, Mr. Chairman, it might be useful occasionally to have Chad give us somewhat of an update on what the planning board is doing. I've looked at the minutes some, but I'm not saying give us a report every month. Don't every 6 months, 3 months on what's going on, because we do interface a lot with them. But obviously, we don't want to get into their territory, as we say.
yeah, and that's why I've put the staff comments down here at the bottom. The planning board's asked me to do the same thing with what goes to council, so I'll start doing that. That's not a big deal at all.
So
And all this needs to be wrapped in under the agenda.
Okay.
So
So Steve would be able, if there was something coming up, he could come in and add it to the agenda.
Right.
You
If
can
we
add
needed
it
to
right now.
discuss it.
Yeah.
you
Sure.
can add it now.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be done prior to the meeting. But again, I would encourage us all to research and try to find things that are new and creative. I gave Candace an article from the Carolina Coastal Resource on a sustainability program that Wilmington has created and adopted to reduce the plastics that show up in the community. I'm not sure how that could be fashioned for Sunset Beach, but it's something for us to think
Yeah.
about.
And they got some kind of a grant to pay for it,
Right. Right.
which I want to read about. Where did they get the money?
Okay.
Anyway.
So we have a motion
I got a motion. Yeah, the motion.
to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's passed. So we have an agenda.
May I ask that you introduce our new member to everybody? Or
Would you introduce yourself?
My name is Rich Back. I've been in this area for 7 years, married for 30 years. Been an environmentalist and a conservationist for 50 plus years, I'd say, since I was a child. We had a smelting factory in our town, a little town of maybe 1,000 people. And I'd go out and write my name and my girlfriend's name on my dad's windshield with all
Oh, my
the
goodness.
ash of it. Oh, this probably shouldn't
where'd
be
you
here.
grow up?
Blanchester, Clinton County,
Mhm.
Ohio, outside
Oh.
of Cincinnati. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we talked
we all
about
made the
that.
connection.
Did you?
Is your last name spelled
BACK.
BAC?
How's that?
BACK, my last name.
Oh, bad. Yeah, that's interesting. I grew up in South Bend, Indiana. We was just talking to somebody the other day about heating with coal,
Oh,
and the soot would get on the snow.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
geez.
Things have changed and
Yeah,
are
they have.
changing.
Thank goodness.
Yes, we got Ohio, south from Cleveland,
Right.
Cincinnati.
Yeah,
Taking over.
I'm overwhelmed here by
You're outnumbered.
people from the Midwest.
They all have
We'll let you in.
they all have troubled football teams, baseball teams.
I was a member of the Elks at Calabash, and they were called Yankee Stadium South, I think, because there were so many Northerners there.
Well, Ridge, we welcome you to the ERC.
Well, thank you.
We didn't add that to the agenda.
But anyway, that's fine.
We
Mr.
did it
Chair,
anyway.
Mr. Chair, I'll take the blame for that one. It was in there and I completely botched that one.
It
So
happens.
my apologies.
So,
Yeah, I missed it too.
that's fine. Not a biggie.
So, next item is public comments. We have no public members here. The next item after that are the ERC meeting minutes from September.
I do have an amendment to the minutes. Thank Don for making me aware. On item 2, the amendment and approval of the draft agenda, it should read that John requested the agenda be amended to include this discussion of items not in the agenda, and in particular, the climate change mitigation project and the HOA, POA presentations follow-up. And subsequently, Don moved to accept the agenda as amended, and it was approved. So I have copies of that change for you guys. And we should add that to the minutes.
I actually did read the minutes the other day and caught that. I don't remember saying that.
So let me see, I've got to find a copy here. Should
there.
I just
There we go. You got one for Chad?
I do.
Okay, good. Yeah. No, I have said things I didn't remember saying them.
We got one more.
Okay.
now I need a copy that we can sign, John.
Yeah, what I might have you do is if they're adopted, just retype them up with the amendments and then send them to me and I can have
Okay.
John sign it next week if
Okay.
you're going to be there on Tuesday.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, thank you, Candace. Next item is an update about stormwater activity in
Did we
town.
vote on that? Or?
Yeah, need a vote, motion and a
So I move to accept the minutes as amended.
Is there a second?
I'll second that since I brought the issue up.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. All right. Next, we have Dustin Graham here to talk to us today about the stormwater activities. If there's anything in the public works area that we should be aware of, like to know that too.
With the stormwater, we'll start with that first. There's several projects that we're working on right now. Catchment 23 and 22. Well, actually, it's the drainage easements actually back here behind town hall that a contractor will be in at the end of this month to start cleaning out with the overgrowth. So we got that going on. We were working on requiring the easements for the job from 27th to 29th Street for the pipe change out for that. And once we get the easements and everything signed, that project will start hopefully this winter.
Is the work going on in the parking lot for the pier, is that part of their work or is that being done by the town?
That's their work.
That's
Yeah, we had nothing to do with that.
what is that, just a drainage line?
I don't know what they're putting in.
So
I haven't-
if it's the parking lot that I'm thinking about, is it the Ocean Ridge?
No, it's on the other side.
It's the pier.
So
I don't know what they're doing. I haven't seen anything.
So they don't need a permit or anything to do
maybe
that.
look into it.
You know,
I just saw it last night. There's a huge ditch they're digging and they're putting in PVC.
Look into it.
yeah, we had to look into it and see what that is.
Okay.
I know the sewer runs on that side of the property. It goes down to the pier also. That's where the vacuum pit is at on that side. So
Dustin, I want to mention to you that your predecessor, when he was here several months ago, mentioned the drainage issue back here
Yeah.
And I worked for the Census Bureau last year trying to track down stragglers that did not submit their form, and I spent quite a bit of time back here. The mosquitoes were terrible. They were terrible, and I don't know how often I sprayed down there, but it certainly was not enough because I had to buy a thing of mosquito spray every time I went down there. And so he said that was partially a byproduct of the poor drainage down there.
It is, and that's why we're cleaning out these easements,
Yeah.
just so we can get the water to flow. So because mosquitoes can't hatch in running water,
Yeah.
so they can't. But right now we haven't started spraying for mosquitoes. No, we haven't had any complaints.
Yeah.
Once I receive quite a few complaints, and then I'll fire that up. But it's been sort of, I got the 2 complaints in the past 3 months about mosquitoes.
Yeah,
Good.
it's been a good summer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Not
been
as
a
bad
good
as
one.
Compared
Yeah.
to last year.
We live out in Windfall, and if I've seen a mosquito, I don't remember.
Yeah, it's compared to what it was last year, because we fired up about middle of last of June
Yeah.
and went all the way to October. October with
yeah.
spraying before we stopped.
And sometimes I'll see the truck come through real like 5:30 or 6 or something before the wind gets up. But it's a good year for mosquitoes, or bad year for mosquitoes, I should say, or whatever.
How frequently can you spray an area?
We spray. I got the town broke up in 5 zones, so it takes about an hour to spray each zone. So we spray 5 days a week, between 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning.
The
is
same
when-
area 5 times a week?
No, I switch it around. Islands on Mondays, Tuesdays back here behind Town Hall, Wednesdays the northern part of Sea Trail, Thursdays the toward the other part of Sea Trail, but also towards Oyster Bay, Bonaparte Retreat 2. Then on Friday is Windfall, Sandpiper, and Cape Side.
Now, how long does that spray last? How effective?
No, it goes out to about 1,000 foot. It just drifts, but the thing that it lingers for just a little while, then it dissipates. But it's water molecules is what it is. But it has to get on them to kill them. It's just that's the way it works.
But if somebody has a ongoing problem, how frequently would you spray that area?
Well, it just depends. If we have a storm to come in and they really get bad, we'll go in the afternoons too. I'll fire it up where we'll go twice a day. So we're doing it in the morning and in the afternoons when they're
So you
when they're
might
really
spray
bad.
twice a week if it was really bad.
Yeah, twice a day.
Twice a day.
Well, that's
Yeah, because I'll
But
rotate.
the area, you would spray an area twice a week if it was
Yes.
really bad.
Because what I do is we'll flip it and go backwards so the same zone ain't getting sprayed that
day.
same day. So we
That's a good point.
rotate it around.
Or would you spray the next week on the same schedule?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, Monday's the island. That's the schedule that is set. That's the way that we spray. I don't change
So
it.
what do they use to, you said water molecules?
Yeah, it's 30-30. It's got permethrin in it. And basically is we have a it's called a Guardian,
Mm-hmm.
but it's basically it's a blower. And it just blows it's a mist that comes out the back of it, a fog that you'll see. And then it just spreads out.
So as much as I don't like mosquitoes, also, does it kill other insects?
It will kill bees. We have to watch out for
Okay.
that. It will kill that. Yeah, it will kill other insects, but we only can spray for mosquitoes.
Right.
While we spray,
Yeah,
but
so-
we do have one beehive back here on Azalea, and we stay about 500 feet away from them.
Okay. Okay. So you're aware of that?
Yes,
Yeah, I'm sure
we're
you are.
aware of that.
this substance is the EPA approved? or-
Yes.
Okay. I
Oh
thought it
yeah,
was,
oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
EPA
I thought it
approved.
was, yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Everything.
I'm not accusing you or implying that
No.
it's not, but
No, well, we get this here from APCO. Yeah, it's EPA approved. Everything. Yes.
So going back to the stormwater, I mean, how much in the town, how much of that water flows into like the intercoastal or the ocean or does it all flow away from the waterway, or is it, if there's
Pretty much all back here basically flows toward the waterway.
okay,
And the island It all goes to the waterway. Basically, everything that's catch basins, all the pipes, everything goes to the marsh on the
Okay.
island.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The only reason I say that is like, one reason down at, and I'm picking on Florida because I used to live
Mhm.
there and they overpopulated and now they have this red tide every year because of a lot of it's exasperated because people fertilize their yards. There's a lot more areas that are covered with, were open or were wooded now that they're covered with grass. So people fertilize and then it ends up in the ocean,
Right.
which accelerates red tide. Fortunately, we don't have red tide here. I mean, but down there it's horrendous. Every year it's killed all the underbrush or under all the grass and the water and everything. Like in Cape Canaveral, there's nothing alive because of red tide. So I'm just throwing that out there. I don't have a solution to it, but I'm just
Well, the other issue with back here especially is people will throw their tree limbs and grass cuttings and who knows what else in the ditch. And there you go.
Yeah. And we had to come behind them and clean it out.
Out of sight, out of mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Has there been a reorganization between Public Works and Stormwater?
Yes, we have combined together. I took over the head of the stormwater. It's under me. So you'll be seeing me unless I'm out, and Matt would be here in the place. He's my deputy public works director under me.
Good. Okay. Is there something you would like the ERC to be working on to support what all the projects that you've got going?
No, not necessarily. Nothing that comes to mind of anything right now. But just that on the public works side, we got the parking lot going next door, working on putting that together. So
And how about the rain garden that's in that? Has that already been designed? And
not yet, but there's an area that has been picked out for it. It's right up here in this grassy area, right there. We're in front of Ken's office, just outside his window. That's where the rain garden is going to go, in that area. Then there's one proposed at the other end of the building where the pine trees or that picnic table is sitting at.
right.
One designed proposed to go there.
So how many shade trees are going into the parking area?
The back roads is going to stay where it's at. There's to be a tree in every island.
Okay, how many islands?
There's 4 islands.
Okay.
There's going to be some trees on the other side with some stub outs. There's going to be some trees in there. I don't know exactly. I can't give you an exact count, but there's going to be some more trees planted though.
Okay. What kind? Any idea?
Not yet.
Okay, about 4 oaks, I guess.
Now we never got that because with it, when they get done, it's going to probably be winter, so it'll probably be spring before we plant.
And not to jump ahead, but I see Tree City USA here, and that's a requirement for Tree City is to show a major project, including trees.
Yeah, we had to do when we do that, we had to go with our UDO. We had to submit a landscaping plan for that,
Okay. Oh, for the
for the
Tree
parking
City.
lot. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
we had to do a landscaping plan for that to get the permits for that.
So all these new subdivisions going in, like all over this area, I guess I assume they have a plan for stormwater and how to deal with that. And
Certain areas have stormwater permits, state, and
Okay.
some areas don't
oh, really?
have a state stormwater permit. It just depends on when it was built and when it was developed. If it was after 90, they had to have a state stormwater permit. If it was built before then, they didn't have to have a state stormwater permit.
Is there anything else we should know?
No, not right off the hand. No.
Okay. Thank you for updating us.
Just that we'll be out on the island in the next couple of weeks with the back truck. We done some camera system. We got some repair work we got to do, so you'll see us out out on the island here shortly doing some work. But but Stormwater is going well. We're actually a little bit ahead of schedule.
Out of your
Good.
plan.
Yeah, ahead of the plan.
Good.
Well, I appreciate you being here. Hopefully we'll get you back in several months when you have something new to tell us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All
Yeah,
right.
all of you
Thank you.
guys. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and if you come across something that you need us to work on, we'd be happy to support the public works and stormwater activities any way that we can.
The only thing I can think of is the people that don't have their downspouts tied in. Maybe look at and put in some type of rain barrel, something to catch the water, something like that. Or the ones that,
It might be part of what you're looking at with the rain gardens.
yeah, rain gardens, just anything like that. It would help from shedding water to somebody or somewhere else.
Right.
I several years ago when I lived in Charlotte, I priced rain barrels pretty expensive, like $65 at that time. They're probably $100 now.
I mean, I think
Oh,
you
yeah.
probably find sponsorships for those now.
Yeah, maybe now, but
For,
this
for a
was,
town project.
yeah.
And if you watch what's going on at the home improvement centers, they go on sale
Well,
periodically.
yeah,
I've got 2 rain barrels at my house,
good.
and we use those constantly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Any
That's it.
other questions or
No,
comments?
Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Well, we thank you for all you're doing for the town.
No, you're
And,
welcome.
we want to be a help
Okay.
in any way we can.
Yeah, if anything runs across whatever I need, I'll definitely let you know.
Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you, Dennis.
Bye.
Thank you.
Next item is old business. First item is the update on the RCCP hazard mitigation activities. Ed, you
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. We are moving forward. I have the draft of the vision and goal statements for the RCCP grant team. That we were originally supposed to have a meeting tomorrow. That has been canceled due to the unfortunate passing of the planning board chair. So that meeting has been moved from the 21st to after the regular scheduled planning board meeting, potentially on the 4th of November. So I'll have more details coming out about that as I put the planning board packets together next week. The next week, Tuesday, October 26th, we will have a community engagement with Moffitt Nickel, the RCCP contractor that was awarded to us. They will be making a presentation. I will have maps and tables spread out across the room. They will be gathering information from the community on hazard mitigation and resiliency for their project. There is a survey out already. I have a QR code. If y'all are interested in taking that survey, please do. It is on the town website. I also have the QR code I can send to you that will link you to the website. They have had over 100 participants in that survey so far. So they've had a good amount of participation to give them feedback on this as well. But I do want to invite you and the people that are listening and watching today that we do have an open house community engagement from 5 to 6:30 next Tuesday to gather information for Moffitt Nickel to further give them information to analyze for our risk vulnerability assessment that they're providing for us through phase 1 and 3 of this grant program.
Oh, sort of an unrelated question. Who is the Nicholson part of that?
So Moffitt Nickel is a contractor. They're out of Wilmington.
Okay, all right.
I think they're bigger than just Wilmington, but they've worked with us on the dredging project.
Okay.
But they applied through the state. They were granted us the state granted us the the grant,
I got you.
and then the contractor was assigned to us by the state.
Okay, gotcha.
So-
And there are different contractors for different parts of the state. Isn't
Yes, so there's a handful of the contractors. There's 3 towns in Brunswick County or in this remote immediate area that got awarded the grant. Sunset Beach, the town of Navassa, and the town of Leland all got awarded the grant program. They're in Brunswick County, and they're all working with Moffett Nickel to move forward with this project. And I've been in meetings with all 3 towns, and I know the staff liaisons on those other 2 towns decently well. So
I'm glad that it's coordinated for the county as a whole.
yeah, yep. So moving forward on that, we are at a good point. We are, we're trying to draft the vision and goal statements, but also move forward with this. We're at a kind of a critical point where we're trying to gather as much information from Moffett Nickel to analyze. I've talked to Dawn about once a week since we started this, and we're at that point where they're gathering information and getting close. The maps that they provided me are pretty cool as well that I'll have for next Tuesday. One of them is a storm surge map to break it down per category hurricane. I've got 2 maps, one representing floodwaters and where the water went to for Hurricane Matthew and Hurricane Florence, which is maps I've been kind of looking after since I got here. And then critical assets as far as points in town of Sunset Beach. We don't have a lot. We don't have a school. We don't, we have the planetarium, we have stuff like that, but the main ones are the town hall and then our 2 fire stations. We do technically have a government building next to the fire station, but that's where the public works director or public works office is. That's important, but it's also one and the same roughly with our main fire station. So all of that will be on display. All that will be displayed for comments. I'll have pins and maps where we can write on them. And I think it's going to be a good opportunity for citizens, not only for people on the boards, but also people who live on the beach and the mainland to come in, talk to me, talk to members of the community action team, talk to a contractor here, ask questions that they might have, but also more importantly, provide feedback on what they want to see in this as well. So be thinking about that.
Excellent. I think everyone knows I am the ERC liaison on the action team. And this is a wonderful thing for Sunset Beach that's being done. If you haven't already taken the survey, I would ask you to do that. And I would also ask you to come to the meeting next week.
The survey is online.
Surveys
is.
online.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
It's on the homepage, the Sunset Beach homepage.
It's under the RCCP category on the
I think the homepage has a link to it.
Really?
Yeah, if you
Right.
I
go
think you
to
can just click on the link because that's
Yeah.
what I did to
yeah,
get in
if you
there.
go to the homepage, you'll go down to departments or committees. It's a tab on the left-hand side. Hover over that, and then you'll see the kind of a drop-down menu that takes you to the RCCP website. Click on that, and then the survey's embedded in a link on that part.
So you post all these maps and stuff on there as well.
I will eventually probably have the maps on there. I do not have them on there right now. I'm looking at printing them. I think once people see them, they probably will want copies of it. And we can move from there. But yeah, if people want PDFs of the maps, I can try to provide them to everybody.
So how do these maps relate to like FEMA? Are they the same maps FEMA puts out, or are they our own version of it? I'm just curious.
I think they're tailored to specifically Sunset Beach.
Okay.
That's what I've asked for.
Okay.
Especially with the more interesting one is the word water displayed from Matthew and more
Okay.
importantly, Hurricane Florence. And it's not just about water. It's not just about hurricanes. It's not just about flooding and stormwater. You know, this resiliency, and John can echo me on this, or you know, this is a little bit bigger than that. This takes all the way from hurricanes to tornadoes to loss of electricity to anything that, you know, in realistically a hazard mitigation. I mean, COVID is going to have to be, when I go through this hazard mitigation plan update in the next 3 years, you know, we're going to have to put pandemic diseases on this. I mean, you know, this is a once in a lifetime, hopefully once in a lifetime thing we're going through right now. But, you know, hopefully it doesn't happen as often as we get a hurricane here, but it's definitely going to have to be something in consideration because it's impacted our lives as far as a risk vulnerability assessment that needs to be taken a look at. More this end of the county that I've very fastly gotten to know better. Then, you know, the more the northern southern end of the county,
The other southern
the
end.
other southern end of the county, is this area is because it's a kind of a backwards type swell or wind down here, I guess. Showing my ignorance maybe a little bit because I'm not a weatherman, but you tend to get a little bit more of a tornado occurrence down here than we do at the northern and other southern end of the county. So, and unfortunately, we had that incident in Ocean Ridge earlier this year, and preparing for those things like that. So,
It'd be nice if we had working radar,
Um,
weather radar.
You know, it's interesting. My bachelor's degree is in geography, so I just cringe when people talk about that being the South Brunswick area. And then we got South Brunswick over this way. Which South Brunswick are we talking about? You know,
the real one,
yeah, the real
the one in Southport.
I've got these are really giants. How about noise pollution? I did want to share a fun. Are you finished or?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got to share something funny talking about mosquitoes and hurricanes. I was the interim town planner in Wallace about 3 years ago. I think after Florence came through, and one of the churches had on their message board, "Why didn't Noah let the mosquitoes back on the ark?" So just think about that.
I thought it was funny.
Doesn't have anything to do with this, but
All right. I do echo everything Chad has reported on. It's what we're getting into right now is trying to identify all the possible vulnerabilities that this community has. And then we'll pick out of that list the top ones and try to figure out what we can do about it. And then hopefully we'll go back to the state and get another grant to get it done. And that's the best we can do to protect Sunset Beach today and in the future. This is a great program we're going through.
I did watch, Rich, I don't know if you're aware, but most of the meetings that any of the town people participate in are on YouTube. It's YouTube, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I did watch that meeting. It was really interesting to see what you all are working on. And by the way, you represented as well.
yeah, get another boy.
And we're only getting started.
Yeah, but and the deadlines. I mean, there's not much time. Aren't they supposed to have some things finalized by February?
Yeah. So that we're
There's
roughly
something actually moving, which is nice.
January, February. We look to move into potentially, 3 and 4 is the phases that are not mandatory. That's also the part where we're looking to, town administration is looking at gathering this information and hopefully getting some capital improvement projects that at the minimum come out of this. We're starting to see some information that come across with potentially grants that the administration can start to move forward on. And that's where money matching will need to be come into play as far as this. But there is not a lot of time. We have the way I've somewhat kind of structured it and go forward with the community action team meetings is, the vision and goal statements will be updated and there'll be a presentation at the next community action team meeting, potentially on the 4th of November. And then we will have something that will probably come back to us before Thanksgiving, hopefully. I'm trying to coordinate with that because I will be out for roughly 2 weeks from Thanksgiving to the middle of December. And then come back and try not to have that community action team meeting while I'm gone, or anything that's that initial report back from Moffett Nickel and where they kind of are with the whole risk assessment and with the gathering information and after the surveys have closed and all that. So trying to get all that done before Thanksgiving, and then we'll move into, once we get the vulnerability assessment back, we'll start moving into what projects we'll start bringing out of this, and that will probably move us from about December, January, and into February where we finalize this. So not too much time left, but still a little bit of work to do.
Yeah, it's a lot getting done in a short time.
As to the October 26th community meeting, as I remember from the past, we can only have 2 ERC.
So I talked to Lisa about that because it will be a publicized open meeting. Everybody can attend.
Everybody can attend.
Yep, because that's how I've had to have all the community action team members present as well.
All right.
So it will be advertised as an open meeting, but the meeting structure will not look the same. It will be more of a presentation to the citizens sitting in the audience and then mingling around with the maps and staff.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Next item is the recycling subcommittee report.
Go ahead.
Well, gosh, it's been a while since we've done anything, but our effort was, before the sunset at sunset, was to prepare a handout, little foldover thing that we could give to the participants or not participants, the attendees, to tell them about recycling. We found actually Candace found one in Boulder, Colorado that we really liked. Of course, we had to change a lot of that because we don't have mountains here and so forth. But we're just running out of time to get that done. So that was our biggest challenge. And I think I want Ms. Stephen to jump in here. We feel like one of the biggest challenges we have, and we kind of beat this to death, is educating the public about recycling. Excuse me if I mentioned that once. I mentioned 100. That was education. Because people number one, don't know about it. Number two, have misconceptions about it. Number three, don't see the importance of it. And so those things those are hurdles we need to overcome. And that's probably it's really heavy lift for us. And Candace, what would you add to this?
Well, one of the things was that we were focused on getting recycling information out at sunset, and also I know you weren't able to go, so I kind of went in your place, and John was there in the morning.
Yeah.
To get some input from
Right.
people, what their thoughts were, so we could learn a little bit better and maybe understand how we might approach.
Right.
And so we can talk about that when we get to the sunset report. But
I might be jumping ahead on that, but John, did the handouts that I provided for y'all, did that help the situation?
Yes.
Okay.
yeah,
I know I'm jumping ahead, probably getting into the sunset.
Well, they
sunset
kind
is
of work together, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
No, we passed out a lot of those.
And I've done something I told Ms. Stephen about this the other day. I take my recycling out to the 904 site, and I've got a handful of those metal or magnetic little things that you can stick on the refrigerator or whatever. And I've been handing those out to recyclers and said, hey, how about taking one of these? And it's kind of funny. I probably have handed out 20 or some since I started doing that. And most people say, "Oh man, I need one of these," and all that. But I had a guy say, "Oh, I don't need that thing." So, like I was going to, I don't know what he thought I was going to ask you, but or tell you. But that has been one small way I've spread the word on recycling. It's a constant chore. It's a constant chore.
So do you know how many people like renewed their can or bought cans this year? I'm just curious.
I think it would be good to get that number from Lisa.
Because maybe,
if we don't know where we're starting, we're never going to know if we make an impact with education.
She talked about that, yeah.
Yeah. So and Lisa had said she would get it, but I think they just finalized everything at the end of September. So I don't know. She probably has a count now. But didn't last time.
Sunset of Sunset, is it a town program or?
It's a festival.
I know, yeah, I've been every one of
Oh,
them, I
okay.
think. But does the town coordinate that, or does the, is that volunteers from?
It's a
or is that
festival
just vendors?
committee, and that's not the town, but the town
Okay.
does.
Because I noticed.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's both.
It's one of the other. Oh, it's
It's
both.
both.
Okay.
There's
So it's not sponsored, but supported by the town. Okay. I noticed two things. A great event, of course, but there's no shade trees out there. And so those poor vendors are out there, and it was 105 degrees on the asphalt, I'm sure. And I didn't see any recycling bins out there.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
So, and that would, again, I'm not on that committee, and I'm
Yeah.
not hopefully not stepping on toes.
Yeah. No.
But the GFL, back in Ohio, we had a sponsorship from the large trash collectors, recycling, and they would donate cardboard boxes
Right.
that you would put in your recycling.
Well,
So
that's-
it doesn't look like a trash can. It looks
Yeah,
like
that's a good point. Interestingly, I drove around town taking pictures for the brochure that we didn't put together, and I was on the island at the where the parking area is. When you go straight, I can't think of the name of that park. Go straight into right there at the beach, and there are four recycling bins that I was not aware of. So I took pictures of those, and that was interesting. But the point you make about not having recycling bins at the festival is a very good point. It's like, why don't we have them here?
I know. I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's why I asked if it's a town program. Then that would cost town.
Yeah.
Staff would have to pick and take care of it.
Well,
But
that's
they're volunteers.
that's the challenge. I think we talked about this maybe the previous ERC meeting. Is when you have the recycling bins, somebody's got to pick it up.
Right. Exactly. That's a big
That's
part.
a public works issue.
Yeah. So if there's fewer trash cans and more recycling cans, you would think it's about the same amount of cans, maybe not, but
Well,
again,
it's something to learn from and to prepare for next year.
right, exactly.
Is there any other discussion on from the recycling subcommittee?
I don't think so.
I have one thought to share. We had talked about members of the ERC contacting the communities they live in, the HOAs, the POAs, whatever it might be, and going to talk to them about some of the initiatives we have, whether it be rain gardens or stormwater or
Barrels.
recycling, the things that Dustin brought up, the rain barrels, and I started to call the Sea Trail president and talk about a time when I could come in and talk to Sea Trail, because I live in Sea Trail.
Mhm.
And I realized the best thing would be to have a presentation done that we could use,
Right.
either in PowerPoint format or handouts or whatever it might be. So I think we need to come up with some kind of a package of information that we can put together in a PowerPoint, and we have handouts for that. Any one of us could go to a community meeting and give the presentation and give out.
Would you do separate ones for the different topics, or put them all together? Here's some ERC things that we're doing.
We could do either. I mean,
Yeah, and I'm just asking.
yeah, we have the recycling handout, and we have the magnets
Mhm.
on recycle. But I thought a PowerPoint would be something that we ought to work on. And so what I would like to ask is to have every one of you think about
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
what we could put into a PowerPoint. You can send it to me. I'll try to put it together. I've done a lot of PowerPoints in my background,
Oh, good.
although it's been a while since I did that. But
It'll
You
come
do
back
a,
to you.
well,
It'll
you
come
probably
back.
should have a PowerPoint and like a PDF on
Yeah.
environmental things for people to think about when they live in the Sunset Beach. And
yeah,
the first
so-
one would be recycling, and then maybe there's other things we want to, because
Well,
yeah, my view on it is most people like recycle where they come from, but they come here and they just dump all, like my neighbors.
Yeah.
Greensboro have a place here, and they just dump all the cans and everything in the trash. They don't even think about it.
Well,
here.
yeah, and I've mentioned this before. I live out in Windfall, and I've made a point a couple of times when it's recycling pickup day to drive around the community to see how many blue things are out there. It's about 10 of them, 10 out of 90 some. So,
Maybe you should get the neighbors that have the blue cans to tell their neighbors.
that's right. Well, John, you were looking at the two of us as a subcommittee. Does that mean you're asking us to do this, or
I'm not hearing that he's asking for anything, but we think about it, get maybe some suggestions
Yeah.
what might go into it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I might be able, because I'm up at the county for this Master Gardener class, I might be able to get some things like the rain gardens and see if they've got some things that are already made into a PowerPoint
Yeah.
that we could adapt
Well, let
from
me
the county
suggest.
extension.
I'm
So
sorry. Let me suggest to the committee, I have not talked with this evening about this. Perhaps we meet,
Mhm.
the two of us, in a couple of weeks or so to kind of brainstorm this a little bit.
yeah, and we still need to finish the brochure. So
Yeah, yeah.
there's
Don't,
things we can do.
We had our meetings down at the brew house,
Yeah, the coffee shop.
coffee shop down wherever it is. So
See that
we'll try to meet at least
beer
once.
brew house.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So one other thing too, like, next year, when maybe 3 or 4 months before they have the campaign,
Yeah.
we work with them on the website to have one step where you can go online and register online and
Yeah.
pay.
Yeah.
Because right now,
It's-
I did it
it's-
myself. You get,
It's
We-
difficult.
when you they mail you the form, you get the form, you got to fill that out and then mail it back, and then if you want to pay the town, you do that separately. You still have to mail the form back. That's like
No,
complicated.
you don't have to.
Yeah.
mail.
You don't have to
You
mail?
can send
Okay.
it. You can do it online.
Okay.
You can do the
It is
form online,
confusing.
but
Well,
it's 2 steps because you have to do one to actually fill the form
You
out,
should just
and
be
then
able
you
to
have
go
to do
online,
another
fill
one
out
to
the
go in
form,
and pay.
put your
Too
credit
tedious.
card in and be done.
Most of us aren't going to click 4, 5, 6 times to find something. I'm
No.
not.
I also think
I like your idea
I think
to do that
I
next year.
don't know how much money they spend on the mailer, but most people. I surveyed my friends who get this, the neighbors over here,
Yeah.
and most of them it gets in a pile, and
Yeah,
throw it out.
sure.
They just
There you
tear it
go.
up and throw it
Yeah.
out. They don't even look at it.
Yeah, it looks like junk mail to a lot of people.
Yeah, so I think I don't know how much money we spend on mailing that, but we could maybe use that.
I think that was a grant, and the town did not have a lot of.
It was
Yeah.
a grant.
The town was able to choose, from a packet of materials, which ones do you think would be most appropriate for the town?
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
couldn't do anything else,
Right,
and then
right.
the mailing was paid for, I believe.
But we can maybe help change it in advance, so
Yeah.
help maybe with a couple ideas on what they can do differently.
I have a comment for that. In America, it is recycle, recycle, recycle. Other countries have reduce, reuse, and recycle. So
Right.
Well,
for education
Yeah.
part, I think the
We-
reduction part is huge.
you
Should be huge.
you make a good point. I hate to say it, we're behind much of the world on
Right.
this. Not all the world, but much of the world.
So our
you
little
could-
our little town could possibly educate. You were talking
Yeah.
someone saying educate about the reduction aspect of everywhere you go. There's plastic bags or plastic bottles.
Well, this is the kind of information we need to put into a presentation
Yeah.
format that we can then take out to the community, because we've
So-
been given we've been given the approval to go to the community and talk to them about it, but we ought to have a
Something to-
uniform
Yeah.
message
Yeah,
that we give.
I think that's
So
a
if you
great
guys
idea.
are willing
Yeah.
to take a 1st
We'll
stab at
take
it,
a stab at it.
and if your ideas, put it down in writing and send a
Give it to
copy of it to
Give it to Don.
Don.
And I would not make it really sophisticated, but
No.
very simple.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
And I'd show a picture, like I'm on the waterway, so every time there's a storm, there's in my backyard there's Mountain Dew bottles, beer cans.
Oh,
I
yeah.
found beer cans from the 50s in my backyard.
No
They're
doubt.
washed up. I mean, the
Yeah.
amount of pollution in the
Sure.
intercoastal that's sunk to
Yeah.
the bottom that comes
Yeah.
up is incredible.
Yeah.
And it's beer cans, all recyclable stuff.
Clorox bottles, everything.
Everything.
You know, we talk about the plastic bags. I just cringe when I go to the grocery store and see somebody with 12 or 15 plastic bags. We use the reusable ones, but
Yeah.
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 that's another sore spot.
You can only change yourself, no one else.
That's right.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
True.
Let's move on to the Sunset at Sunset experience. Candace and I man the
Staff.
Amanda's
we manned the
Human.
town booth, and we gave out the whites for computer
Yeah,
screens and glasses.
For
we
you guys
gave
that
out
didn't get to see these, Mickey Bozeman at the county
Oh, good.
donated these. They're little wipes like for your computer screen. You could use them for your eyeglasses. It has Brunswick County. They were doing it to promote their electronic recycling project. Now they have at each of the drop-off sites, like the one on 904, they have a trailer that you can take your used computer, printer,
Anything.
TV, any electronic
Oh, really?
stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to get rid of that stuff. They don't want it to go to the
But you have to
landfill.
pay though to go there.
No, it's free.
It's free.
So you
Where's
could
it
just
at on 90
on
It's on
904.
904.
on the left, right?
Oh, please don't tell
Right.
us how there's no signs there. You'll get Don
I've
going.
seen No, I've gone to the place there and dumped
Yeah.
stuff. And they charge you typically for that, right?
Well,
It
let
depends.
me
Some of
jump in
it's
here.
free.
What's
Yeah,
that? I'm
that's-
sorry.
A lot of it's free, but some of it you
The
pay for.
the site you're talking about is not very well marked, but that's a whole different discussion. Seaside United Methodist Church up on 904 has a annual electronic gathering thing, like we call it, where a vendor comes in, a contractor takes anything you can plug in, they'll take. It is free. We had one back in the spring or early summer, and I'm not sure when we'll have another one, but it's widely publicized. So if you got stuff in your garage, junk room, or whatever, hang on to it, and hopefully I'll publicize it to the committee next time that rolls around. And they get a bunch of stuff too, old TVs, old this, old that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I-
anyway, so that was why the county printed these up, but they were really popular. People came by
Yeah.
to get these, and it gave us an opportunity. to
And the
talk to them.
information's on there, the address for,
It's not, but it gives the county website where you can go and look it up.
Okay.
But one of the brochures, I think Chad gave us, it was in the brochures that he gave us. It's a county brochure, but it lists where all of their drop-off sites are, as well as where the county landfill is and what items they take at each one. And that was also popular. I found a lot of people really interested in what were the particular materials that you can and cannot recycle.
Now, I was at the booth in the morning and Candace was there in the afternoon. And as people would come by the police area
Yeah, that
and
helped a lot.
look at what the town had, I was handing out the magnets for recycling and we were giving out the cloths. And I would just ask them, "Are you recycling?" And I was very pleasantly surprised. I would say 95% of the people I talked to said, "Yeah, I have a container or I go to the recycling
Yeah.
center." And a lot of them, particularly from your neighborhood and that are up on that end of the town, they know where the recycling drop-off is and they go there. a lot of people questioned why we had to pay for the
Yes,
recycling
I had a lot of
containers.
questions too.
And I had an interesting discussion with one gentleman, and I said, okay, you know what the value of your property is for taxes. Multiply that times 3 cents if it was included in your taxes, and how much would you pay? And how does that compare against the $90 against the $90 a year that the town charges you? And I'll bet that you would pay more in your taxes than you have to pay the town to be in the program. And he did the math in his head and said, "You're absolutely right."
Yeah.
He didn't know that.
Yeah.
So that's something we need to put into our presentation to people, is to explain to them that
This
what
is
the
why our
town
town
is
charges.
doing,
Yeah.
what the town is doing is actually saving money.
We, as a little bit of a side, we talk about Ocean Isle Beach has had mandatory recycling, and they pay for it. It's free. And I happened to be at a wedding about a month ago and sat at a table at the after event party thing with the mayor of Ocean Isle, whom I've known for a long time, and got to talk with her about that. She says, "Oh, we just did it. We just did it a couple of years ago. We just did it." So nobody cares. We just put it into our taxes. The whole scheme of things, what's that little bit of money to most people?
All right, but Ocean Isle Beach is different than Sunset.
Sure it is. Sure it is.
Because
They've got a big
The
commercial
growth-
base too.
the growth in their tax base has covered the cost of mandatory recycling. And I think that's going to happen in Sunset Beach with all of these new communities coming in.
Might be. Yeah.
That eventually they'll be able to roll that into
Yeah.
the program, and it won't affect the tax rate.
Yeah.
Right now, it would affect the tax rate,
Could
and the
be.
town council is not willing to do that. So, but it was a good discussion.
Yeah.
It was a
Good.
good program. A lot of materials were handed out.
Yeah.
We have a lot more of those magnets.
Mhm.
I think you ended up taking the materials with you, didn't you?
No, Lisa said she would, because she was coming back here, she was going to bring them back.
Okay, I have a box in my truck of over 1,000
Oh my gosh.
of those magnets.
Oh my goodness.
And that's great to have them. Although, a lot of the people, at least the ones that I talked to, most of them had the magnets. I was surprised by that.
Right.
Unless they were not from our town. Some of them were from some of the other towns and they were interested, but most people had the magnets. They were interested in the materials telling them what could and could not
Yeah.
be recycled, which is some of what's on the magnet. They like those brochures. I did have at least 2 people tell me they used to recycle and they stopped because the cost went up from what was it used to be like $84 and it went up to $90 and they're like, "Oh, I'm done."
Yeah.
So it's like my
So the
question
cost is an issue.
to them is like, where do you just dump your stuff in the trash? I guess, right? In your I mean, I think it's kind of
Well,
like
those 2 particular people, I made a point to tell them, you can still, if you want to recycle and you can't afford the curbside program, you can still take your recyclables to the drop-off site.
We do that. And it's not because we don't want to pay for it, but we don't want a big recycling can in our little garage.
Well,
So we
that's
have
part
our-
of the issue. Yeah.
And
The
when
other
you put-
thing
we go
is-
to the park
Yeah.
after we tennis or
It
whatever.
brought up another issue, and that is that several people were there from Sea Trail, but they're in the condo part,
Right.
and they don't have a way. They don't have individual containers, so they have no way to recycle there unless they take it to the drop-off site. And it may be something that, if we look into it further, maybe there is a way to see if they couldn't put a larger, like they have at OIB, put one over there at Sea Trail. There's enough people in that community.
The one at OIB is filled up every Thursday afternoon during the summer.
Yeah,
months.
it's full. So,
So you can
but
imagine
they're
that goes
clearly
to the
able
trash.
to pick up a bigger container, and maybe that's an answer. The thing is, then how does it get paid for?
Are you talking about the one at the park down here?
That's Park, OIB Park.
Yeah, let me tell you a little story about that. I go by there a lot, and I did not know till about a year and a half ago that recycling thing was even there, because there's no sign. Like, I'm just supposed to know.
I didn't
you
know there was one there.
We were saving $8 a month, so we found it.
Yeah.
It is mentioned in the
In the brochure.
Yeah.
county information and in the brochure that all the
Yeah.
town parks have those.
Yeah.
But it's not something you think about.
No.
Anyway, I think the Sunset at Sunset experience was
It's very
good
helpful.
information, very helpful. There's a lot of people that recycle at the drop-off locations, and that's good. But again, we just need to communicate more to people why they should be recycling. I had several people tell me that where they came from, they recycled because it was mandatory.
Yeah.
It's not mandatory here, so they're lazy, they don't recycle.
Hmm.
And so if it was mandatory, it would be, more people would do it.
Yes.
But again, it's, we have a program at the town that the council has said that's as far as they want to go with
Yeah.
it right now. But in the future, as the town grows, we have to keep pushing to put that into the.
I think it would be great that if someone did recommend that they make it mandatory, maybe not charge them for it and say, here are your options, but you can no longer put recyclables in your trash, or they won't pick your trash up. I mean, I'm just saying, because in most cases, like in Greensboro, where I have property, you're not allowed to dump recyclables in your trash. They have an inspector that'll
Yeah.
come, and if you do, you'll get a ticket. So, hey, if they don't want to pay, they're not, if they're
They have the option to drop off.
drop it off,
Yeah.
or buy a can.
Yeah.
You have-
When we were looking at the data, I think they said when it's voluntary, something like over 70% of people believe in recycling and think you should do it. But when it's voluntary, only about 30%. Even with best effort to educate, you can get about 30%. If you make it mandatory, you can get it up to about 85%.
Yeah.
With time and effort, even on
Right, my-
mandatory. But
My son lived in Seattle, and they were charged by the size of the trash can
Right.
for the
they
garbage.
reused and reduced, right?
Right. Yeah. And heavy recycling. Of course, now he's in Tennessee, and they don't.
This is not Seattle, in case you didn't know that.
I'm sorry.
This is not Seattle.
Oh, right. Exactly.
It's not Portland either. You ever spend any time in Portland, Oregon?
Can we,
Let's go. Never mind. Let's go.
new business. Next item is new business. Keep America Beautiful membership. Don, you have.
Well, I thought I intended this to be a Keep America Beautiful meeting, and I may have miscommunicated. And I did. I'm a member of the KAB committee now for the county, and representing this part of the county. And we met last week by Zoom and had a very interesting presentation on the Gullah Geechee Trail, which runs from roughly Charleston up to Jacksonville, North Carolina. That doesn't really tie in with the ERC thing so much, other than the fact that it's a cultural thing that goes through this part of Sunset Beach. But the KAB in general has a lot of overlap with what we do in many ways, and I've built quite a good relationship with Miss Bozeman out there. And I guess Candace has too. She really wants to interface. That's a fancy word. Really wants to work with us a lot on our efforts, and she's volunteered to come back, offer to come back to a future meeting here in the next couple or 3 months to give us an update on what they're doing. She's very pleased with what we're doing. So that's kind of my one takeaway I wanted to share with the committee.
Good. Any questions?
So what is she impressed with?
Well, just the fact that we're trying to tackle this whole recycling issue is the biggest thing. And she's I've worked with her some. I've called her a number of times. She's probably got me on speed dial too, to talk about this or that, and I have talked to her a little bit about what we do, and she's happy with the effort that we're making, unlike some other communities in the county, which I'm not sure. I know Ocean Isle and Oak Island have committees up, but I'm not sure that anybody else has them that I'm aware of. So she's happy with what we're doing.
I was a member of America in Bloom program in the last town, and there were contests depending on, and it's a national, actually it's a worldwide contest, based on the size of your town,
All right.
and the judges, national judges, would come in and rate you
Yeah.
and award you that presentation, which increased property value because we won. We came in like fourth place for our size of our town. Maybe not had a direct impact on our property taxes and things like that, but the town joined in, and they put in rain gardens, and they put in at the entryways
Yeah.
to the towns, they put in some herbaceous beds and some evergreen beds. So that was
And what was
Make
the
me-
name of this?
America in Bloom about
Where
8
was
years
this?
ago. Mason, Ohio.
Mason.
Mason, Ohio.
That's down there in Cincinnati, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we got a write up in Forbes because of that America in Bloom
Yeah.
presentation. And we ended up, we were 17th, 12th, and 4th best place city based on a Forbes diagram, whatever their chart was. And of course, everyone on the committee thought we had an impact on that. We did fit. But it's about putting in, again, part of the rain garden and the water mitigation.
The
For that.
KEB, you have to join KEB, and there's an entrance fee of about $1,700, which we hope probably will put in our proposed budget to the town council the next budget year. It's not free, but the good thing is KEB will come in and help the community, or you can go to training opportunities that they have around the country.
So
Maybe you could, for the next ERC meeting, you could give us more information about America in
Okay.
Bloom, and we can
So-
compare that.
Yeah.
Sure.
We can compare that to Keep America
Could
Beautiful.
well be, yeah.
So what does Keep America, I guess I could research, but what does this do, the membership do for us? I'm just curious.
Well, it gives them the opportunity they make their resources available to us of their whole, if you go to the website, they've got all kinds of things available on beautification and what have you.
Okay.
But they also come in and train us, or the training opportunities around the country. They have workshops and conferences and what have you.
Okay.
As part of that, we had a art in the garden tour also, which brought our artists from this town together with our gardeners, our master gardeners. A nice connection.
So I'm sure there's a lot of,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of citizens in Sunset Beach, like if we ever did things like this, that would volunteer, like you said, hey,
yeah.
we need volunteers to do X, I bet you could get a bunch of people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of experience out there.
Yeah,
for sure, right?
enormous
What's
amount
your-
of experience.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just get rid of this.
Okay, next item is discussion of 2022 Tree City USA. And what,
Yeah, John, you had mentioned this to me about starting to prepare for next year. And I wanted to just kind of bring that up, and kind of see where we're at with that, where you wanted to start. And I was thinking about ramping this up around January, about the beginning of the year. But you had mentioned this a little bit earlier, so
yeah, have we gotten confirmation on our membership in Tree City USA?
I'm pretty sure we have, but I'll double check.
Okay. There is a, what do you call it? An annual event for Tree
Mhm.
City, Arbor Day.
Hmm.
And we need, our thought was that we would come up with a recommendation that we would make to the council on what the town should do for Arbor Day. So that's something we can start thinking about and coming up with.
When is it, John?
Some
Is it
suggestion.
April?
It's in the spring.
April
It's in
29th.
April.
April 29th for Arbor Day
Yeah.
next year. And Earth Day is April 22nd.
I said this several minutes ago. I still remember Arbor Day when I was in elementary school 100 years ago. We got a little bit of tree from the teacher, And I asked her how much this cost. She said $1 million. So I thought, well, I'm a kid. I didn't know any different. But it's a little bitty thing. We planted it, I guess. It's been, like I say, 100 years ago.
Are there any volunteers that would like to start working on this, coming up with a suggested program? Is that what you're thinking about, Jen,
For Arbor Day?
for Arbor Day?
So, just like Mr. Eggert said, you hear Arbor Day and you think plant a tree with little children. But Earth Day brings, again, a worldwide event.
Yeah.
Earth Day would bring in more of the 40, 50, 60, 70-year-olds into, if we did not one tree or not 5 trees, but if you picked a area, again, for Tree City USA, you picked an area and made it a focal point, and not an existing park, but somewhere is like a brown field or whatever those are called, right, where there's more parking spaces than trees. So if you had sponsorship and town input, you can do a major tree planting, say a dozen trees around a park. And I'm thinking of the Sunset at Sunset location. I'm not sure who owns that, but it is desolate. It looks so bad out there, and it's an entry point, just like the America in Bloom. It's an entry point into Sunset Beach, right? You have the corner markets, you have the corner stores, but that's about the first thing you see, and it looks like a abandoned coal mine or something. To me, it looks like. Sorry, I shouldn't hope property owners not here.
So Rick and I will volunteer for that, right?
I'm fine to do that. Yeah.
All right,
For the
why
Tree
don't you
City.
guys start putting ideas together
Okay.
and
So-
come up with the
But
suggested.
I would not settle on just calling it Arbor Day again. To
Whatever,
me in the
yeah,
past,
Yeah,
it would,
and
it would have to be a.
Rick and Steve, I might work with you closely on that. I like the idea of where the concerts are at the Sunset at Sunset. Is that the one in the same location or
No, they're close, but they're not
Sunset,
exactly.
Sunset.
So do they have a budget for like trees or something, or who?
Yeah,
do
so-
people donate trees?
That's part of the.
Yeah, we can take a look at that and work close to see, what ask permission to see if we can plant trees on that property. I don't know what future projects might be going there, but we can definitely look at that. I'll work with y'all closely on that one.
And if we need to bring in the volunteers from Sunset at Sunset, we don't want to put trees where they have.
I think if you put something out like, I like to use our website more to promote things. I mean, I look on the website, but a lot of my friends don't ever look at it. But if you can email like to people like in the city, the town, not the city, but hey, we're going to have this volunteer event, and be information on our website, and we say we're going to plant 12 trees. We're looking for 15 volunteers. I bet you get 30 people that would want to help. Maybe not. I don't know.
They
but,
had they did that at the town park. They did a
right.
that renewal of on the
Oyster.
Yeah.
An oyster
Sunset.
nesting area.
rebuilding
Sunset Nation
or
It was
restoring.
Yeah,
the-
there was a
the
bunch of
shore
people.
line.
Yeah,
They had a good turnout.
I have friends I can get
volunteers.
to volunteer to do
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Well, let's come up with the ideas and put it into kind of a work with Chad.
Okay.
Come up with a program that we can
Yeah.
present to the
There are,
council and get approval to
and there are
get done.
less than 6 months till Arbor Day and Earth Day.
So when you hear Tree
Right,
City
so-
USA, by the way, what does that mean? I mean, I can go look on the website. So because we have a lot of trees in the city, we're trying to
Yeah.
grow trees or
Tree City
protect the
USA is
trees.
is a national program. A lot of municipalities look at it. When you look at it on a grand scheme of things, it's a minimum type program that you look into as far as what designates you as a tree city. But it is a good program to have. A lot of municipalities try to stay into that program, advertise for that. Hey, we're a tree city type thing.
Yeah, it's one of those positive, feel good
It
things
is.
about
So,
your town
so I
that
have
you know.
I one
Fuzzy.
question. So, and I mean, I'm not. So, like when Riptide went into Sea Trail, there was. I mean, these are pine trees, so they're not necessarily. I mean, I've got live oaks on my property, which are 1,000 years old. They just came in and they hacked down like thousands of trees and hauled them all off. I mean, do we? Not knowing. I mean, do we have regulations against just ripping trees down.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if you want to, I can move into staff comments. That was one of the things I was going to address.
Okay.
Good, let's move into stuff.
Okay, that's fine.
So I know, Steve, you mentioned earlier that, the projects that are going on as far as stormwater and trees and vegetation and stuff like that. So all the new projects that you are seeing have state stormwater permits. That is a requirement. Even the ones that are kind of getting revamped in Sea Trail, for example, they are having to look at their existing stormwater permits and upgrading them. Same thing with the mixed use district right across the street here, with a couple projects that are going on over there. We have a new restaurant that's that has zoning approval to be built. We have a subdivision project that has been submitted and reviewed by TRC and working on getting comments to go before the planning board. Another restaurant that potentially go over there and stuff like that. So all of those have existing stormwater permits by the state, and each time you might have to modify them. So those do go on, and if it's a new project, they have to meet the standards of today. All that's reviewed by the state. The projects that are going on, they do have regulations as far as landscape and vegetation, taking off, clearing, and then what they put back. A lot of them look at putting back on the exceeding points as far as replanting of trees. You're exactly right. A lot of them were pines over there with the Birdwatch project. They have to submit in a landscaping plan that is required by the Unified Development Ordinance that is reviewed on in those criterias. We do have not a hazardous tree, but the term is slipping my mind. It's a heritage tree.
Yeah,
Heritage tree program that if you take one out, you have to replace it with back a certain species. So, and basically you have to give really kind of justification of why you're taking that tree out. I do look at it as a sense of, we also have a local stormwater ordinance where you have to maintain the first 1.5 inches of rainfall in a 24-hour period on your lot. So therefore that amount of water does not just trickle off onto your neighbor into the road. The rains that we do get around here during the spring and summer, as we know, we'll get 4 to 5 inches in a given couple days. And you're only really required to control the first 1.5 inches. So there's a lot of it that will run off. But so when you get into, on these lots that we have in Sunset Beach, especially on the island, you have roughly between 4,000 and 6,000 square foot lots. When you put a house, a driveway, some people like to enjoy the swimming pool, and these infiltration systems, there's not a lot of room for trees to be left on the lot. You're really kind of looking back to planting back. This has been kind of a battle that I've had, not just me, but not just this municipality, but other municipalities that I've worked in, and other planner friends that are going into this battle of stormwater, trees, building, and it's you tend to get 2 out of the 3 parts of that triangle, and not all 3 of them. And it's
When I was planner in Oak Island 20 years ago, it was the same issue. The lots are real small, but it causes any size on there. You're not going to have room for a tree by the time you put it in your driveway and
correct.
all kinds of other stuff.
So we're seeing a lot of that, but as far as the retention, or maybe not so much, they do get credit for points toward that. But as far as the replanting back, especially in the MR3 zoning district, a lot of the HOAs go almost 2 and 3 times the requirement of the UDO of planting back. So it's encouraging, maybe not the plantings that we'll see in our lifetime, but they are there. So over the next 10 to 20, 30 years, you'll see canopies growing back. Right now you're seeing the sanctuary always gets brought up. That's the one in front of the post office where they cleared a lot of that off, but the replanting back will be there. There is a designated tree buffer. If you go down Crooked Gully and Clubhouse, you'll see the trees in the next to the sidewalk that was mandated to be planted back. Those were installed actually ahead of their planting schedule. So
The other thing too is the wildlife
Hmm.
when you clear out huge areas like that, they have
Mhm.
nowhere to live, so they end
Yep.
up like at my house. So
Yeah, the Bowling Spring Lakes is really pretty famous for there because they have the red cockaded woodpecker, and BSL is very extra protective, and everybody's aware of that kind of stuff that's going on in there. So we it's an ever going battle. You know, that I call it the kind of the three-way triangle. You get two out of the three. It's hard to get three out of three, and I'm always talking to planners in the community. I have a lot of good friends that are planners in this county, and trying to kind of network with that and try to come up with a solution. But it's an ever going battle, not just here in Sunset Beach, not just here in Brunswick County,
yeah,
and not just the state of North Carolina. So
yeah, I understand.
So I had maybe a silly question. So they apply for a building permit.
Mhm.
Is there a fee for that?
yes.
So if it costs $50 to plant a tree,
Mhm.
and they're displacing 20 trees on that lot,
Mhm.
is it practical or feasible to charge?
I-
So you would put those trees not on those lots, but put those trees in an area that would that the town either owns or that
I mean,
another
that's
neighborhood
something I
owns?
can start to take a look at. The council sets our budget every year, type thing. So I'm always up for ideas and encouraging ways to promote how to get people to plant trees or save trees and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Does the town own any big stretch of land besides the town park and things at on the island? I mean, if you think about where they could plant, I don't think they don't even have anything there. There's not much land left in Sunset
there's
Beach.
not, and I knew that when I took the job almost a year ago. There, the most of the island, really, what you plant back on the island is extra because there's not a lot there to begin with. It's the land off the island. But the older parts are, if you go down to Oyster Point and, down around the Oyster Bay Golf Course, you'll see some canopy there. And even throughout the golf courses in Sandpiper Bay and in the 3 and C Trail, you'll see some canopies there. It's more where the new developments are going in that kind of I get the most phone calls about. So
One thing that would be nice too, with that, I know it's not the same topic, but it would be nice to connect the Ocean Isle to Sunset with like a greenway.
so
You
the
know.
county has there's a regional um, Blueway Greenway plan that was put on by the Cape Fear Council of Governments that connect Pender. I know it's Pender, New Hanover, and Brunswick. Brunswick County did a pedestrian bike plan, Blueway plan for the county. I can look at obtaining a couple copies of that. I think it's on their website. The routes are kind of tread with caution at times if you look at some of them and know the area pretty well. Um, Even in the water, there were some questions, when I had about, do we really want to put people in kayaks in this body of water? But
Well-
it's a good connect, and not only that, I also try to work with the developers and to try to get interconnectivity from Georgetown all the way up to the bridge and the causeway type thing as well.
One of the pass outs at the Sunset at Sunset that the town had was a map
Mm-hmm.
of all those bike paths
Mhm.
and walking trails and kayaking.
Mhm.
And you're right, some of them are a little treacherous, but
Yeah.
but there is a plan, and I
Mhm.
believe somewhere here in town hall there's a rack of information, and one of those is this trails map.
I'll have to find it because I haven't seen that yet. But also, I'm very familiar with the one
So-
for Brunswick County because when I worked for the town of Oak Island, I sat on that one and provided the information back to the
Well,
county.
this is a county.
Oh,
This
Is
is a
it?
county map.
I'll have to
not
reach
just-
out to their planning department and get a couple copies of that
Well,
brochure.
I think the town's got a
Sure.
whole box.
So
of
in
them.
All right.
just FYI, I was in Jamestown, Virginia. There's a trail that goes from Williamsburg all the way to Richmond. It's
Right.
51 miles. I actually rode it, almost died, but tired.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, it's environmental because it's environmental as well as it unites the community because people ride their bikes, you know.
It's much safer too. I admire people that have the nerve to
That's
get
what
off
we're here to do.
some of these roads.
And you're gonna,
Yeah.
it's like
Well,
Florida.
how
People-
just start
Florida's
the bike trail
People have
going
to do
along
property too,
shoreline.
right?
Okay.
We've had
But Mr.
farmers
Chair,
for
that's all I
years
had.
that may not want to.
Are there any
Yeah.
other staff comments?
No.
Nope, that's all
So
I
you and
had.
I can work together on the Arbor Day thing.
So
Okay, we have no
Birthday or
public
whatever.
presence. So I think we're at the end of our discussion. We have met for an hour and a half, and I think we've had a lot of good discussion. We don't get together outside of this meeting very often, so I think it's good that we have the
You said
chance to
brew
talk
house.
to each
You
other.
said the brew house. No,
That's right.
But I think we do need to be mindful of the time involved here. And, so I think it's been a good meeting. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Or a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.